Okay. Alrighty. Here we go. Come on. Things do the things. Okay. All right. It's Monday art day. Monday art day. How is everybody? Everybody good? Hope everybody's good. It helps if we have our tool ready. Oh shit. Damn it, Nisey. Really? Are you kidding me? Where the fuck did it go? Hang on, guys. One moment. Technical difficulties. I felt you hit the floor by my feet. What the hell? Can you do me a favor?
What's up?
Can you grab my flashlight?
What'd you lose?
My little wooden peg.
Little wooden peg. Little wooden peg.
There it is.
Oh. Oh, for your thing.
Yeah.
What'd you drop it?
Yeah. My hand just like let go of it. At the worst possible time. Ah, there we go. Back in business. Okay. Alright. So, yesterday we made some plans for how we were going to handle things today. So we will see if we can make those plans happen. Alright, so this guy's a little bit thicker than I really wanted him to be, but that's okay, I guess. So, we remembered that we still had not put in this guy. So we're gonna see about... Oof. I didn't need that elbow anyway. We're gonna see about getting him put in here. Alright, actually, I can't see at that angle, so... It's just easier to turn it. Get an idea of where we're at here at the top. So it is Monday. How is everybody doing? Everybody's Monday get off to an okay start. Turns out ours was a little bit rough for the husband, at least. I don't know how mine's going yet. I haven't been awake enough yet to figure it out. I was up and I was like, you know what? Let's go. I got dinner started. because what I'm making for dinner takes a couple hours to cook. To get it to the texture that I prefer it, at least. And I figured, well, we might as well just go. Alright, let's see about resituating you here. Now, this doesn't need to be perfectly straight. It can be a little, excuse me, allergies. It can be a little wobbly, a little wonky, because, you know, it's a tree trunk. A lot of them are not the straightest creatures, and this doesn't really need to be a straight creature here at the moment. What was that? You okay, Momo? Sounded like somebody got up in a hurry. So I figured might as well go. My eye's still fucking twitching, so that's fun. Not really. Alright, so get this guy put in here. And then we'll grab some more of our white. Ooh, I saw Arteza is selling yarn now. I don't know how I feel about it. It's a little expensive for me because they're not selling them individually. They're selling them by packs. So even the full-size skein, it's like packs of 4, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. And those packs of 4 were a little expensive for me, and some not a lot of them, but a number of them were variegated, which wouldn't work for me anyway. I mean, maybe one of the greens and maybe one of the blues, but that would probably be it. Alright, so we're getting this bad boy put in here. I know he's going right through our roof area, but it'll be alright. We're not going to see that bottom section anyway. I just didn't feel like snipping him. He'll help me keep my place. What you looking for? Oh. I was going to put one of those on your desk when I got up to go to the bathroom at one point, but then I wasn't sure if you were going to want them before you left.
No, I appreciate that. Nope, just taking my ration.
You sure you want to spend it now?
Yes.
Sorry, inside joke. You guys don't know. You guys don't know what it's about. Alright, let's pop that guy up. Alright, it's not too bad. Okay, so let me close the taupe bag for right now. I did forget to fluff some more chocolate brown. Didn't remember until I was going to bed last night, and I was like, we might be okay, but I'll definitely have to fluff it when we're done with the cabin, because then I think our chocolate bag will be empty. All night I kept feeling like I was forgetting to do something. Kept brushing it off because I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm good, right? I mean, I did this, and this, and this. I even got a few dishes done last night. Not many. But there was a lot of dishes, so for some forsaken reason, which I find odd. But then again, there's a lot out there today too, but the husband cleaned the fridge, so. My parents have this thing, well, my mom has this thing, and I guess his mom has it too, where they save leftovers and then they never eat them. I'm like, what are you doing? What's the point of saving this if you're not going to eat it? Then it's in there for 3 weeks. And then I find it, and the container's all nasty, and I refuse to wash it, and then I'm out of container. I'm especially going to refuse to wash it now, because my dishwashing gloves eat shit and died. And touching some of that stuff in the sink skeeves me something terrible. Been like over lotioning my hands lately too, because the icky water. The hot water in my hands don't like each other at all, especially not repeated long dunks. And our water's felt funny to me the past couple of days. Like maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. Like it's almost felt oily or greasy. It's been very, very bizarre. Do I need to get him?
No, I'll get him. You just have to wait a minute.
Okay, I was just asking. I didn't know. Alright. So I don't really need to highlight that down further, because we're not gonna see it at all. And in fact, I need to take a better look at this tree edge here, because I feel like we kind of lost part of our highlight here. Just a little bit. So how's everybody doing today? Everybody doing alright? So, OBS ate shit and lost its connection while we were wrapping up Friday's zoo stream. So we could run to the store real quick, and the husband was showing off our duo zoo real quick and what he's done so far. And in the middle of that tour at the end, OBS lost connection. So it split the live stream into 2 videos. And the last half of the video was like 6 minutes long. And I posted both of them and clearly marked one part 1, one part 2 to the YouTube channel. Either early this morning or late last night, however you want to consider it. And part 1 has had 0 views and part 2 has had like 20. And I'm like, but
I contend it's the illustrious sound of my voice.
I'm sure. I'm trying to encourage him to start trying to get his YouTube channel or his Twitch channel going. He keeps going back and forth about it. I'm like, no, you should. If nothing happens with it, or you change your mind, or your depression gets you and you just don't do it for a while, that's fine. But I still think you should try. And get that going. So we'll see if he actually does. He's been thinking about it. So if he does decide to do his own channel, we'll have to make sure we get him to affiliate. Alright, so just starting to put in some of the groundwork around the base of our cabiny place here, just because it's going to be easier to get this in now. We probably won't do all of it right now, but like, we're not going to give it its, you know, good solid pass, but I mean, we could, I guess. But let's see how we do here. One thing at a time. So, I mean, this one's kind of moving along a little bit, which means I've got to get my ass together and get to video editing. I'm so busy. I'm all over the place right now. So I'm going to be co-hosting the podcast this weekend with Alita. Don't forget that contest is going on. That's going until the 28th. Again, I'm just kind of trying to get in the bottom base area of our cabin. We're going a little bit backwards here, just to try to make life a little bit easier for us. I'm sure, in fact I'm positive, we'll be coming back in and doing another pass on this hill here. So getting that back up to snuff. I just wanted to get a base pass through, at least along the edge. It's just this piece I happened to grab was this length, so. I mean, we could have just straight edged it, I suppose. I suppose we can do that. Probably go a little bit faster. Alright, I'm just making a little sneaky guy. Just to get that to cooperate a little bit faster. And however you want to start to put this area in, Do it. You do it how you want to do it. Because, I mean, in the end, it is yours, and, you know, however it speaks to you is how you should do it. Honestly. Alright, so let's see about getting this guy. Sorry, I've learned that if I don't have my hand on this pad somewhere, it likes to wander across the table on me. And then next thing I know, I'm like halfway over off frame and I'm like, what the hell happened? All of our tapping motion just hopping away. Alright. Just want to make sure that all these little loose guys are good and attached into here. Okay. Alright, so do I have any more? No. Making sure I didn't have anybody floating around the edges here. Alright. Now this section over here, we're probably gonna fill this in. Just to make life a little bit easier. Man, it got so warm today, it is creepy. It's gotta be almost 70. It is hot in our room, had to open the window. It was one of those weird nights when trying to sleep where you can't find the right blanket combination. Sweltering with the sheet comforter and our top fuzzy blanket. Then took the fuzzy blanket off, still too hot. Okay. Went to just the sheet, then I'm freezing my ass off. I'm like, oh, I can't get happy. So that was a pain. It was so weird because when I did wake up, I was like, why is it so quiet? This house is not normally this quiet. And I heard a noise in the kitchen and I'm like, that noise doesn't belong for this time of day. What is going on? So then I had to get up to investigate and found out that it was the husband, which surprised me because, to my knowledge, husband wasn't supposed to be there. I was like, hey, why are you here? But it turned out he was having a rough day, so he sent his mom to do the task that he was originally supposed to do, or take care of the thing he was supposed to do, so. We've learned to pick our battles. Some battles there's no choice. Some battles are worth it. And some battles just only end in misery, and we've learned to not push some things, so. Tell ya, all of the plants around here are so fucking confused. It's in the 60s this day, it's raining this day, it's windy as shit. We were under all kinds of wind advisories last night. That wind was a wee bit scary last night. It was just roaring. I was working on my bloodthirsty challenger since I'm co-hosting this week, and I was like, I wonder if this is a good idea. Our lights didn't really flicker. Our fiber cables are underground. But if the power flickers, then the router restarts, and I'm like, is this wise? But I got my required two bars of XP in last night, so I'm like, okay, we're fine. Moving on to the next thing. And then I was looking at beta tanks last night, and I was like, these are expensive. Though I did see some ideas for a filter that I read on a review for the one tank I was looking for, and the review was actually very informative and did comparisons between different stuff and things, and I was like, oh wow. So I might look into some of the stuff I saw on that review and see how much it was. My problem is whatever tank I end up eventually getting when I get my new beta fish, it has to have a lid. It just has to. Because cats are assholes in this house. Cow especially. They won't just look. They will try to make everything and anything in this house interactive. And it's like, yeah, no, let's not. Sorry, this one was a little bit thicker, so I just want to make sure that we are where we need to be. And there's a couple of spots in there that I want to refill. Sorry for the crinkling near the microphone. Let go. Let go, dang it. Alright. So, just gonna cut this guy down to its size. And see what we can do in here. Let's work on filling in a couple of those thin spots that we missed. And I think I need to be over just a little bit further. I think I misjudged where that line was supposed to be. Or maybe I bumped it out with the pen. No, I may have misjudged. because the chalk marker on that color is a little bit harder to see. Or I smudged it in that spot. I can kind of see it now, so yeah, we're a little off kilter there. That's alright. It wasn't like it had to be that exact size. And we can adjust the size of the cabin. Make it a little bit longer, that's fine. Alright, so get that attached into there. Okay, and I need one more little piece here. That's not fully attached. Can I remember where I put my scissors? Or my snips. Those ones really aren't scissors. Okay. So that should do in there for now. Although maybe we should finish taking that across just to even that guy up just a touch. On the edge there. Alright, so that's not too bad. And then from here we can start to continue bringing down those angles down that hill. As we go. We're going to be jumping around a little bit here. Alright, so I think we'll advance the tutorial just a little bit to him starting the cabin here. I'm just reflattening the back. You don't have to do that, but I would recommend popping this sucker up off of the felting mat, or is it wool felt? No, I think it's a felting mat. It's either felt or wool. One of those. It was on Amazon. It had a sheep on the front of the package. That's all I remember. Just look up needle felting mats. You'll find it. Where are we at? Where's my mouse? Hi, mouse. Okay. So let's see about. Okay, so there he's gonna start to put that in. And he's gonna put our roof line in. Alright, so, fellow darlings. Alright, let's put the dark denim up there for now. And we'll grab some of our chocolate brown. So this is from Big Twist. Still the acrylic yarn. This is like the closest color to like Van Dyke brown that I have at the moment, like a dark espresso bean or something like that. Just a dark brown would work. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the exact colors I'm using. I mean, you might not have this color. You might have a different brand of yarn. You might have roving, you know, whatever's gonna work for you here. Now, we'll probably be adjusting our angles a little bit here. This does not need to be super thick here right now, because we are just working on getting the line in. So here's my terrible attempt at getting this in. Now I'm a little off of the line that we sketched in before. That's fine. And this cabin, whoever built it, definitely was a DIY. Definitely. One of those cabin kits, and you know. Dude lost some of the instructions. And then his tape measure got frozen shut. And then, you know, he just kind of started eyeballing stuff and like, yeah, okay. And after a certain point, he just kind of gave up and was like, it's a roof. So that's our story. And we're sticking to it. Because I'm terrible at doing these building lines. Absolutely terrible. Let me pop that up just a minute. It's really hard to see that because it's kind of vanishing into the darkness, but we're sitting about here. And I'm just gonna come a little bit to there. Yeah, his is at more of a angle. Mine's not. But, you know, what can you do? Like I've said before, they can't all be winners, so. The cabins always trip me up because I'm not good with the angles. And when you're not good with something and then trying to do the thing in a medium that's is a little more challenging to do the thing with, you know, things are gonna go a little sideways. But it is what it is. And I never claimed this cabin was gonna be stellar anyway, so. Let's get our other angle in here. As we work on that. Oh, okay, I see. Don't know if that's gonna help, but sorry, kinda talking it through half out loud, so which doesn't really help you guys all that much because you aren't hearing the other part of the conversation. Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit steeper than it necessarily needed to be. And this bit here, that's okay. Like I said, our cabin is definitely a Nisey made cabin because she can't read a ruler. It's this many marks over. You figure it out. Oh Lord, my dyslexic ass. Alright. So that's kind of there. I need to make a small adjustment back here. It needs to be a little bit more of an angle. Maybe not quite that much of an angle. Okay, so we kind of got something happening here. It's probably more of a hot mess something, but it's a something. As we work on getting this guy in here, kind of, sort of. Alright, so this guy, yeah, this guy got a little carried away with our cabin size here. He shouldn't have been quite this far over. Oh well. Totally putting a cabin kit together and be like, you didn't send us enough pieces. No, dumbass, you used them all. Way before you were supposed to. Oh, goodness. Alright. That's what would happen for me. Okay. So let's see about getting this bit in here. I'm just kind of trying to get our outlines in before we come back in with our full attack plan here. Okay. So we'll work on getting this guy put into here. All right. I like wiped everything down with like a lemon disinfectant wipe, and now that's all I can smell. I'm just like, what's that lemon smell? And then I'm like, oh right. I don't have any incense going today. Number one, I need to clean the area around where the wax melter is. Number two, I need to clean my entire desk. Good luck finding time to do that. Number three, husband's having a rough allergy day, so I didn't want to compound it, as it were. Oh yeah, our roof angle's really off there. Oh well. There's not a whole lot I can do about that now. unless I bring... No, we're just gonna... Well, I might be able to adjust that a little bit. Maybe. Maybe. Alright, so I'm gonna turn you and just kind of take you across to here and connect you to there. You can kind of see it taking shape. In some spots. Today's tip of the day. Don't hire Nisey to build your house. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. Building houses is not an easy strength. Whether that's gonna be a dollhouse or wrong. A real house. Sorry, Little was saying hello. I'm sure I'll find out in a second if that was actually a demand for attention. If my leg gets bit. I don't know where she is. What's here? So she might be under my desk. My leg might be about to get bit. Okay, so this actually would need to come up just a little bit, just so we can get back in line there. That kind of made that a little bit better. So now my biggest thing here is just fill in that in. Okay. Alright, so let's, that is what it is. Let's pop that guy up and let's start to get to work on filling in this guy so we can see him a bit more, because right now he just kind of looks like a blob and that looks like a mountain in the background and it's really not. So let's see about getting some more in here. This camera is struggling a little bit with the different dark colors, but it's probably the amount of light that's reflecting off of it. Or it could be me, because I do have my monitor's brightness turned down from when my eye was super bad last week. It was the only way I could get anything done was turning the brightness down. Alright, so I'm just gonna start filling in this side of the roof. So we can have a little bit of the brown showing through when we go to put the snow on. Hey, Mrs. Rock Guru, how are you? Hope all is well in Mrs. Rock Guru land. Husband's sort of here. He's playing his 7 Days to Die. I think. I could be wrong about that. Are you watching your food?
I'm gonna go check on it in a minute.
Okay. He's making crab food, so... As in, he's drying food in the oven for the crabs. I think we've finally got the temperature and humidity to stabilize in the tank. At least for the time being. So yay. So he's like drying different foods out in the oven that he chopped up real fine, and then once they're dry enough and they're cool, he's going to put them in his mortar and pestle thingy and grind them down into a crabby food powder. Fine, thanks. You're doing your competition. Oh, good luck. I am sitting out this competition. I just don't have time. Just don't have the time this time, so I'm not gonna upset myself trying to find the time. Got too many other things going on at the moment, so that's okay. I mean, I have 2 pacifists, but pacifist isn't my go-to. And I like to level my pacifists a little bit slower. I am cheering everybody on. I actually haven't checked the standings today to see where everybody was at. I know a couple of the mods were trash talking each other in our mod chat for WoW challenges. Friendly, of course. Riling each other up over their contest characters. Over the course of the weekend. But my gosh, yesterday went by in a blur. Probably because as soon as I was done stream yesterday, we had to run and go do our grocery shopping for the month at Walmart. And I guess because it was the end of the week, they were out of a bunch of stuff, so I was kind of pissed that like 3 things on my list I couldn't get that were big staples on my list, and I was like, damn it. But husband has to go pick up his medication tomorrow or see if they got the refill thing sorted, because when he was trying to call it in last night, he goes, oh, this thing doesn't have any refills left. And then he goes, oh, that's right. He goes, when I was at the doctor's a couple weeks ago, he goes, they said they were going to put a new order in for me. I don't know if they actually did or not, but it should be on his file. And I don't think anybody from the pharmacy called here today about it. But it's a weird holiday today. It's Martin Luther King Jr. Day? Martin Luther King Day. Some places are open, some places are not. Some places are operating on holiday hours. Some places are operating on normal hours. So it's a weird day today. I know we didn't have trash pickup. I know that much. We have to make sure we put our trash out tonight. Because our trash can's kind of in the front yard next to our carport, and the city's gonna get mad if we miss trash pickup. I think we might have a couple of bags sitting outside of our trash can at this point because the husband cleaned the fridge. I mean, I can definitely tell some places are closed because traffic is quite a bit later today. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. I was like, no, I forgot to pull up recently. Alright, so can't see it that well. But we are working on getting this roof line worked in here. So what class did you go with? I was tempted to try, but that would really be spreading myself extra thin this week because I need to get some work done on my bloodthirsty. If I get about 2 bars of XP a night, I should be done by Friday, Thursday night, Friday night. I did get 2 last night, so that was one goal ticked off. And then I had to go farm to try to get some more stuff to put up on Auction House. We are 1 token away from getting both copies of D4. And then I have to figure out how I'm gonna farm for cash for WoW time. Because WoW time is up in the beginning of March. Druid. Nice. Well-rounded stealth of the rogue, but the ability to pick flowers while in travel form, I think. Or at least, you get travel form. So you can get around a little bit better. Which will come in handy. Oh shit, what day is it? Okay. I thought I lost more days than I did. I was like, fuck. Elders Festival starts. It's like, when did it start? Didn't start yet. Starts Friday. So I have to get that article written up. So that article might say under new for 2023, nothing new at the time of this posting because Wowhead's been really slow doing their holiday update articles on their guides, if they do one at all, lately. So I've been having to word them as at the time of this posting, we were unaware of anything new That's going to affect the challengers. Kind of deal. It's not the Elders Festival, it's Lunar Festival, but... Alright. And then I think there might be a week break. I could be wrong about that. It might be Lunar Festival ends and then Love is in the Air begins, or there might be a week in between them. I can't remember. Some years they're like overlapping, some years there's like a couple of days in between. Lunar Festival is one of those ones that floats a little bit. Although lately they've all felt like they've been floating a little bit, to be perfectly honest. Alright. So we're starting to get that filled in. You can kind of see where we're filling it in. Now I do have a couple of thin spots in the roof where I do have some of the navy poking through, or our dark denim color. It's essentially navy blue. Or close to it. Don't know if that's gonna matter quite so much because we're coming back with some snow frosting top of this roof. So it might not be all that tragic. To have a couple of extra little minor breaks in there. You alright?
Uh-huh.
You were gone longer than I expected you to be.
I checked on the food and had a sleeve of little sleeve of crackers.
Ah. Do I need to make you anything to eat?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Oh, can you see about the water level in that pot? I think
Yeah.
it'll be okay, but I never know.
No problem.
Some days it seems to evaporate faster than others. Alright, so let's bring this section. Oh, eyelid, if you would please stop twitching. I haven't even had that much caffeine today, for Christ's sake. I'm still working on my first caffeinated beverage of the day. Because if I don't have any caffeine, then I'm gonna get a fucking migraine. And I try not to inflict them upon myself if I can help it. Because those caffeine migraines are wicked. Let me tell you. They're not pleasant at all. Well, you're the only druid in the contest. Everyone else is rogue. Really? Everybody else went rogue?
Well, I mean, it's the best way for you to break combat, really. I can see why everyone went rogue, even if it is unimaginative.
What's the challenge in going rogue? I mean, that's the easy way out. Number one, you know, it's already Night Elf with Shadow Meld, so... If I had participated, I probably would have either gone Hunter, Mage, for ease of getting around, or like Warrior, something ridiculous. Just to be different. Everybody always goes rogue. Shit. Now I want to. Just to get a different color up there on the board. Damn it. Am I gonna go back on my word and say I don't have time to do this? I mean, I kind of want to. Especially now that everybody's rogue up there. It's tempting. It's very tempting. Fuck. Except for you, yeah. I mean, we gotta add some more color up there, you know? Come on, guys, be different. Especially all the veterans, you know. Challenge thyselves. I mean, nothing against going rogue, but let's spice things up a little bit. I mean, granted, it's a little bit challenging because it is a pacifist contest, but come on. Go big or go home. I mean, Druid's got some key advantages. Because you get Prowl on cap form. And you've got travel form, which will help you pick herbs later, I believe. You're level 13 for Prowl. Or level 13 for Prowl. But still, I mean, you know. It can have its tactical advantages, so I mean... I don't know, I just get frustrated when everybody goes the same same class. I'm like, come on, guys. Dare to be different. Alright, I can start to see this roof taking shape. See, that's the thing though, if that's going to take away time from farming, that's the problem. It is 2 weeks. I don't know, I gotta think about it. I almost just want to throw a mage up on the board just to have a mage up there. Because mages will get invisibility. It won't be till later though. And really, no matter what class you are, it's not going to save you from a proc skill. So, although I don't even know what level the leaders are. I think yesterday somebody was saying they were level 23. But a lot can go wrong very suddenly for a pacifist, so I haven't even looked today. I basically got up, went to investigate what was going on in the kitchen, because I could hear noises that didn't quite fit for what I thought was to be going on today. And got dinner started for me. And then got started on Contester is at level 31, already lost 1 from the competition, 1 affairs. Oh, okay. She hadn't said anything in mod chat about losing 1, so. I wonder what happened there. So tomorrow the husband has, or is supposed to have, D&D. Let's see. I need to find a time to get a stream in on my part of our competition zoo against each other. Don't know if that's going to be Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I doubt it'll be tonight. There is a massive amount of dishes in the kitchen that I need to try to get caught up. Now with the mother-in-law back, there's been so much more kitchen action happening. As it were. Alright, so we kinda have that filled in there. So, it could be filled in a little bit better. So let's see about getting that put in. So that's looking pretty good in there, I think. I mean, we still have a couple of bare spots up here. Can just barely make them out. I wonder if you should start to thaw some of that fruit for later in the fridge so it's easier.
I would think it would be easier to chop up while it's frozen.
I just didn't know if you should like chop it now and then put it in the fridge to thaw to throw in the blender. Because it's going to have to be liquidy to strain it.
True. So what? Food processor it now and add a little bit of liquid and then put it all in the fridge?
No, chop it up.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
Okay, you're saying chop it up. What do you mean by chop it up?
Well, you just said chop it up, so...
Well, that's why I'm saying food processor.
Well, I thought you were going to cut it. I would thaw it if you're not going to pre-cut it in the fridge. Thank you. And then food processor it.
How about we talk about when you're done streaming? Because I'm not sure what you're going for at the moment,
so that
rather
way
than screw around, I'll just wait till you're done and we'll figure it out together.
That way it's liquid after it's food processed, and then we can strain it and then put it back in the freezer.
So you basically want the juice out of the fruit?
Kinda.
Okay.
Because the pineapple's a little fibery, so not straining it and then trying to eat it might be a little difficult. Sorry, we were discussing taking some of the extra frozen fruit that he had for the crabs and making me a snack with it, or trying to experiment with making me a snack with it. Sort of like a no sugar added sorbet type deal. Alright, that looks pretty good. Definitely angles are not right, but that's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. Alright, so now on this area, we're gonna work on getting our snow line. Put in here. I'm gonna turn this though. It'll be a little bit easier. To see. I think or at least that's the thought process behind it. See if that actually works out. Okay. And then, all right, so you can kind of see top edge of the roof line in there now. So yeah, we did get a little bit carried away with how far over we came, but that's okay. Alright, now let's bring this down after I get this. Sorry, you might hear my mother-in-law in the background being obnoxiously loud at the dogs and getting the dog wound up. So you might hear him carrying on and fussing. Because it's her. Alright, so get that tucked in there. Okay. So we kind of have a starting point here. So this is going to be a little bit thick, but not exactly. Let's start to get this figured out here. And some areas might need more than one pass. As we go along. But we'll see. So we still have to finish traffic's loud. What traffic there is today. Still have to finish filling in the other panels of the cabin. But I figured this would be a good place to start today. Let's just kind of work on getting our snow layer on. And that way we're not jumping around too much. Again, that's a step you don't have to do. I just do it because it just kind of helps things lay a little bit flatter at times. With that flattening of all of the things and stuff out on the back. So I'm grabbing a little bit of this. So for this process, I'm grabbing a little bit and then I'm kind of feathering it out, fanning it out, however you want to describe it, just to try to help us get some breaks in the fluff, so it's not all entirely solid. That right there, I was just kind of scratching the surface. I was not pushing in, I was just touching the top of the fiber. If you try to push in and then do that, you're going to snap your needle real quick. So be careful if you're trying to either separate out some fibers a little bit further after starting to anchor them. Be mindful of the pressure. That you are using. And I know this looks really super thin here at the moment. Like like our snow is starting to melt or it had just started to snow. We're gonna make this a little bit thicker up there, but I just want to start with a base coat here, as it were, and then we'll kind of figure out things from there. And if we overlap our neighbor area as we're putting the next area in, that's fine. Might even help a little bit with how things are going to lay. Kind of looks like the fake spider webs from Halloween. Oh, I feel another sneeze coming. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's not one of those that just sits there and burns forever and then doesn't do anything either. Those are the worst. Let me pop that up, and I'm just gonna refluff things back here. Alright, so you can kind of see where the roof is sitting at the moment. Kind of. Alright, I kind of lost my angle there for a minute on that last addition, so let's see if we can revive that a bit here. Because our lines that we're putting stuff down in are going to be a pretty key factor in this one especially. In helping convey where things are sitting and stuff. And since we don't have paint and we can't rely on a paintbrush to change the stroke, or like to push stuff and push the lines and stuff, we have to think about how we're placing a little bit. Which is kind of why I put our directional lines in yesterday. Just to try to help remind us what way things should be sitting. And you know, don't rush. There's no reason to rush through this at all. There really isn't. It's not a race. And if you rush through it, you might not be happy with it. So just kind of, you know, it's fine to putz along. Put. As you figure out where you want things to go and how to sit, and if you want more here, less there. Well, I mean, less you're gonna have to figure that one out before you put it in, but because you can't really rip this out very easily once you've placed it, so you might have to make things a little heavier in another spot if you got a little carried away, so to speak. So might want to put a little bit of thought into how heavy you want an area to be covered before placing it. And if you want less in that area, make sure that you preserve that less area. It'll make life oh so much easier. Okay. Alright, so starting to get this done. So right now it just kind of looks like we've been dusted with snow. And we are going to thicken this up a little bit. But right now, feeling okay with where we're sitting at the moment so far. We seem to be getting this feathered out here pretty good. So, see what we can make happen here. So I know the cabin angles are a little off, but they're not as bad as they could be. I mean, it doesn't look as off as the sketch, I'll put it that way. Now that we're getting some life into the sky. Alright. Again, just a little tiny bit pulled off. And I know I pulled it off and stretched out and then rolled it back up again, but there's a point to it. I mean, you want it a little bit thick in some spots, but then, you know, thinner in the others. It's all about just getting that balance to where you're happy with it. And because some of these fiber threads are so thin, a lot of them might just kind of just get eaten into the background and just kind of melt in. So that's why I'm saying go slow. Nothing wrong with going slow on this. Now he's got his snow pretty thick in spots on his, but there's also some spots where there's breaks in it, so that's why I'm saying I want to kind of build up to that. Oh, and that sneeze, that rat bastard. He vanished. I mean, yay that he vanished, but he left behind my eyes still being watery and burny. Dang him. So, see about getting this worked in here, get this a little bit thicker on our second pass. So hope everybody's Monday's going well. Hope your week's starting out as gently as possible. Like I said earlier, ours has been a mixed bag today so far. I'm really surprised I didn't hear the husband get up. Usually I at least register him getting out of bed. I must have been completely out. See about thickening this up a bit, and once we get this side of the roof sorted, we'll start to move on to this area. So, kind of figuring things out here. Now, when you've got the little wispy wisps in here, all our little fine spread out hairs, you might need to run your finger over them a little bit if you're not sure if you've got them anchored enough, just to make sure that you've actually hit everybody, if that's important to you. If it's not important to you, then whatever. Sorry, that little bit of white got a little bit of the dark blue in there somehow. Maybe it came off the edge of the pad. Alright, so let's see about getting you in here. Like, I want to clean this edge up a little bit too. That's a little empty in there. So I still need to come back and add a bit. So now that I've kind of got a decent handle on our wispy sections, I'm gonna grab a little bit more, and I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker. So we can start to get this snow show on the road here. Work on getting our thicker spots tapped in here. Or at least that's the theory. We'll see how it goes in practice. As best as we can here. Sorry, they're being obnoxious in, like, it sounds like almost right outside our room, and I'm just like, guys, come on. Alright. So apologies if any of that is actually getting picked up. I don't know if it is. I never really know what this microphone's gonna pick up, because Russell's seems to pick up more than mine does. Like, his would probably have picked that up for sure. And while we sort of have the same microphones, they're not. I think he's got a different feature on his, or mine has a different feature. So again, I'm just kind of being a little bit more slow. Not just, you know, slapping solid white on here. If you want it to be solid white without any of the breaks in there, by all means, if that's what you want. Then, you know, you do that. But I'm trying to keep a little bit of the breakage in here. If we can. So that will slow me down just a little bit. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So I'm just going to work in small amounts. To attempt to preserve what I can here. See, that looks pretty good, this back half that we've done so far. That's feeling that. That's pretty good. Here, let's try to re-flatten this guy. Alrighty, so yeah, that's doing pretty okay. So far. All right. Next spot here. So I'm not putting a whole ton of pressure on there. I was just kind of trying to keep it from bunching up too much, and every bit of our fiber going into one spot. Those notches in the needle, it'll just grab all of it and just suck it all under. Maybe before you're ready for it, so. But if that doesn't bother you, then that's fine. I just wasn't quite ready to have that spot quite that thick. Our next bit here. Stop rolling around. There. Alright. So let's see about getting this worked into here. Alright, so I mean, like I've said before, this is a slower medium to work with, especially if you're doing it a little bit bigger than like a 4x4. Sorry about that mechanical noise all of a sudden. My neighbor just came home and is apparently just running his truck in the driveway. And our room is on their side of, like, the side of the house that has the driveway. I'm not sure why he's still running it. but there might be a vibration noise that kind of sounds like an air compressor. There he goes. Alright. So yeah, this is not a fast medium unless you're working much smaller and doing something much simpler. So since we're doing something that's a little more involved, it's gonna take a little bit longer. Is there still water in that thing?
Yeah, plenty of water.
Okay. Alright, so let's see here. This all dumped into here. But it's coming along pretty good, I think. Not too bad. Alright. I am glad that we took the time to put that first layer of breaks in for the snow, because it'll just be a little bit easier as we come back in and do this thicker pass to see where we want to keep them and where, you know, maybe we're okay with losing some of them. It all sort of depends here on how the things go. All right, now get this kind of, it's a little solid, but that should be okay, I guess. All right, so let's start to get that guy worked into here. Now, he didn't put a chimney on this one. So, if you want to put a chimney on, feel free. Entirely up to you. Alright, now let's grab a bit more fluff, if I can find a piece that wants to cooperate. Alright. Get this guy worked into here. So this section might be a little bit thicker. And that's okay. We should probably have some sections that are a little bit thicker. just to get that going. So, do any of you guys do any crafts or hobbies or anything? If your hobby is a craft, what's your craft medium of choice? Or do you dabble in multiple things? We've done a little bit of painting. Well, painting is what I primarily did before getting involved in this. I do a little bit of tissue paper art when I have time. I got some 8x10 canvases though, so we can do one of those soon. Definitely rip out the tissue paper again. I've got it all stashed. So I'm just fussing with a piece of fiber here. Working on getting that sorted. Anybody paint, candle making, soap making? Drawing, colored pencil, watercolor, gouache, quilting, crocheting, knitting, finger painting, all of the above. The latch hook. I used to do latch hook a little bit. It was easier for me when they stamped the color pattern onto the hook canvas, because I would lose my concentration and lose track of where I was and forget that I was supposed to be counting squares over and stuff. Boy. So. And then they stopped doing that on the kits as you got like more advanced ones, and I was like, oh damn. I don't think macrame is one I can do. I don't think I can wrap my brain around all of the different steps and keep them straight. I mean, I probably could. It would just take me a lot longer. Than other people, because oh, careful with that. Let's not stab our ear. That'll be a fun one to explain. Alright. You okay? Do you need me for anything?
Nope, you're good.
Alright. So you do crochet, knitting, dabble in wire wrapping. Oh, that sounds fun. Needle felting, Fimo clay, macrame. You want to start painting. You got all the stuff but not started. Done some concrete figures. Say your craft is trying lots of crafts and collecting things to do with them, but not really doing them. Yeah, I know that one. I know that one. Like, I want to try all of the things. Like, I still haven't gotten into watercolor. I have the watercolors, but every time I think about pulling them out, I'm like, I lose my nerve. But, I want to try to do some more gouache. I haven't had the time. There's so many things I want to do, and I just can't ever seem to find the time to do them because I'm involved in other things that are taking time to do. So I'm still involved with the podcast. I'm still involved in WoW to a degree, not maybe as much as I was, but we're still there a little bit, and that's still a bit of a time sink. And there's like stuff I want to do on the channel, and just there's like never enough time. Like, I did some mosaic tiles on pots and stuff for a while, and then I kind of substituted the tissue paper out for like the mosaics, the mosaic tiley doos, and was kind of trying to do something along the lines with that. And I like that. I do. I'm just not very fast at getting stuff done. I have some pins I'm making for one of Zortza's charity streams coming up. I need to get some work done on those. Right now, I think my biggest thing that I need to get done first is getting that speed felt finished from our last Bob Ross thing. Like, Christmas kind of just took over, as it always has a way of doing. And I just kind of ran out of give-a-fucks, shall we say. My give-a-fucks jar was empty. So, I just kind of didn't work on it when I should have been. So I haven't started working on the live streams that we've done on this one so far. But you found out last night that the new pacifist competition started, so now you're level 10 on a rogue. You know that feeling too, yeah, it's just like, nah. And I was just like, fuck it. I just hit the fuck it button and I'm just like, nah. I'm tired. Give a dams have just totally run out and I'm just not. Plus, you know, we were also trying to get the beta testing done at the same time, and so I was just, I'm not gonna lie, I fucking burnt out, especially from running all of the bloodthirsties, trying to get those all done. We're not doing that insanity again. Congrats, you guys. Good job. Tell you, getting to level 5 is like half the battle on a new pacifist, especially if Darkmoon Fair is not happening. And there's no holiday event in progress, with Lunar Festival not starting till Friday. So, good job. But yeah, no, so I just hit a point where, sorry, my eye's tearing again. Not as bad as it has been, but it is tearing a little bit, so at least I can see. Last week was rough because my eye was so fucked up. I couldn't even. I managed to struggle through a couple of live streams, but then on my non-streaming days, my body is just like, nope, bitch, you're laying in bed and you're not doing a damn thing. And I was like, but I've got stuff to do. And my body's like, I don't care. So I was not able to power through much of that, which was extremely frustrating for me with all of the stuff I need to get done. Plus, you know, there's the house chore stuff and all of that. Because usually dishes are my responsibility. We still need to get laundry done. Because I think we're holding a lot of the towels hostage. Just haven't had the frickin' time. Or somebody else has been doing laundry when we were going to go do it, so I'm like, okay. So we got the dryer situation sorted. But now we have a situation with the stove, and I'm like, it never fucking ends. Can we just not? My dad's like, that stove's not that old. I'm like, sir, it's like 8 years old. And we do a lot of cooking. And that was the burner that was primarily used. I'm not surprised that that burner's being crazy. You was gonna go Druid, but you wanted stealth sooner. Thought I got it before level 10, but nope, it's a talent. Ah, one of the rogues. I really am tempted to make a mage. I really am. But do I want to even go there? I still have, but they reduced the XP bar in size, right? So it's, you haven't uploaded yet though. Make sure you upload before level 20 for the contest and do the opt-in box and the email. You have to enter on the contest page to see those options. So they reduced the length of the XP bar. It used to be 20 bars, and I think it's 10 now, and those segments are 10% instead of 5%. So I think my Bloodthirsty Priest is 10% into 63. Or 10% from 62 to 63. I haven't been pushing her that hard. Because like I said, we've been focused on trying to farm cats. We haven't been farming cats. The cats started freaking out and causing trouble. Sorry. I wasn't sure who was starting trouble with who, but I heard somebody and I'm like, nope. You'd shut that down right now. So, shit. Train of thought. Chugga. Where the fuck was I? Oh, Bloodthirsty. So I'm not that far along on her, but like I said, we've only got one more token to go where we really have to concentrate on farming. And I think I'm about 40,000 from that token, maybe 30,000. It depends on what tokens went up to. But I didn't have that much time to farm last night. Because I've been trying to go to bed sooner because husband's in here for a little bit longer until his mother-in-law leaves again, which I don't know when that's going to be. There was talk of her leaving again in February, but I don't know how solid that is. Because they changed their plans on a dime and don't tell us. So, I don't know. Should I? I wasn't gonna. I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, no, I wasn't gonna do it, and then I changed my mind. I don't know. Maybe we'll mess around with it. It depends, because I still have to do the live stream for the Duo Zoo this week. And that's gonna be late night. Probably late night. It depends on what the boys have planned for Wednesday and Thursday, since I've been trying to squeak that in the background. I don't know if they have plans for tonight. If they don't, I could try to squeak it in later tonight after dinner, but it wouldn't be till later, like after I get the kitchen, well, after I attempt to clean the kitchen. I get some of the mess out there cleaned up. So we've just been so busy with life stuff that it's just been a whirlwind of a year so far. But yeah, we pulled the knob off of that particular burner so nobody uses it, because it almost sounds like there's a short in the thermostat on that burner when it's clicking on and off. And we can see like a blue flash of light, because it's a glass smooth top stove. We can kind of see a blue flash of light whenever that burner's thermostat kicks on and off through the stovetop. Probably shouldn't be able to see that. So, yeah, I think we're gonna not use that burner. Unless we absolutely have to. So Russell and I pulled the knob off and we stuck it in a drawer so the parentals aren't trying to use it, because even though we told them not to use that burner, they'll still go and use that burner out of habit. Because everybody wants to use that particular one. And the rest of the burners are fine, so, and we don't have the money to replace the stove right now. So we're gonna run that bitch into the ground. My dad's like, well, can't somebody just come out and fix it? It's not that old. I'm like, it's an 8-year-old stove, sir. Roughly. Roughly 8 years old. Possibly 7. I don't really know if it's gonna be cheaper to have somebody come out and fix that. If it's even fixable. It may not be. Because there's like some kind of, I don't even know how they would get to it, because since it's a smooth top, they might have to remove the caulking gasket thing that attaches the top to it. And I'm just like looking at that and I'm like racking up the labor hours in my head, how much they're probably going to charge for this. And I'm just like, oh god. I was like, it might just actually be cheaper to fucking replace it. But they just replaced the dryers, so. I mean, Russell and I weren't happy about it, but we were knuckling under to go to the laundromat because drying a load was $2, so it wasn't too bad. And even though Russell told my parents, he's like, I'll take your laundry to the laundromat, you just have to give me the money for the dryer. And she's like, I'm too old to be fucking with that, we're just gonna replace the dryer. And I'm like, yeah, sure, because we can use the clothesline once it starts to warm up. I mean, we've had to work around this before. I mean, you know, when you're broke and stretched to the limit, you gotta figure this shit out, so. But somehow, my parents found room to buy the dryer. And that was more expensive than I remember dryers being, let me tell you. For something simple, it's really not all that. There's nothing really flashy on it. It's as basic of a dryer as you can get. And on sale, it was still expensive. And I'm just like, fuck. It's been a long time since I've been appliance shopping, apparently. Because I don't even remember this shit costing this much when we replaced the stove. Although I haven't looked at stove prices recently. Probably should. But alright, so kind of have a ghost of an image showing up there on the backside. Alright, so we're working on this part of our roof here as that's filling in with black, and I don't know why that looks black. It's brown. It's this color. But it looks black down there, I guess because of all of the dark and the way the light is bouncing up off of it. But once we start getting some of our shading in on this guy, I'm thinking that'll bring that around. Then again, of course, you might be seeing a different one. Okay, so you got yourself entered now. Yay! Good luck to everyone participating in the pacifist leveling contest. I will say, it was glorious having a couple of weeks off from WoW entirely. I didn't quite know what to do with myself for a couple of those weeks, because I was kind of like, what shall we do? And then somebody gifted me some time, and I was like, but I'm on, WoW vacation. Shit. So then, you know, I felt obligated to play because I didn't want the time to go to waste. So then I started trying to level my main and realized, hey, I can't do dragon riding. This is, I mean, I realized it a little bit in beta, and I was hoping they had changed it when it went live. And no, I still can't do the dragon riding. Cow, what do you have? Cat's got something. Cat's got something. And it sounds like Russell was rather perturbed by what he grabbed. And he took it out to Russell, apparently. Or was trying to run away with it. Don't know what it was. One of the parentals summoned him. I completely forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so then I felt obligated to play, so I was like, shit. So then I played a little bit on the main, and I gave up trying to quest, to be perfectly honest. And then I just started, like, farming materials and putting them up on Auction House. I was like, oh hey, I can buy a token. Cool. And then early, well, I guess maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, I was like, hey, husband. Because we had originally talked about, you know, we were hemming and hawing over D4. I was like, so since I don't have money to buy you a Christmas present, would you like me to farm for tokens so you can get D4, because I can turn them into battle.net balance, and then, you know, we can buy it. So I'm at the stage, should I start stream WoW then next though, or should I just stop playing it? So yeah, and oh darn it, I just remembered why you should be a druid for a pacifist. Irving underwater, especially once you go to Western Plaguelands. Is that water hostile in that Daromir Lake, like, or no? Because I tended to not bother, because I wasn't sure if there was anything in there. What's up, husband?
Huh?
What did they want?
Oh, nothing. I'll tell you in a minute. No rush.
Okay. because I've never really messed with herbing in the water there on my other pacifists. Because I was like, I don't know if there's fish in here that are gonna bite my butt. There's a rare in there that can spawn, but he's really easy to avoid, and that's the only thing to watch out. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know there was a rare in that water. Like, I know there's a rare, blah, blah, aware. I know there is a rare swamp monster that kind of hangs out around the edge. I didn't know I didn't know that there was a different rare in the water. Unless I'm misunderstanding you, which is entirely possible, because it's me. And I am the queen of misunderstanding people. Okay. So yeah, then I was like, well, do you want me to do this? And he's like, well, how about we farm enough for 2 copies? He's like, because I don't want to play by myself. He's like, and I'd rather that you played with me. So that's what we're working on now. It'll probably end up being a joint Valentine's Day gift at this rate instead of Christmas, but that's fine. I'm not sure if the amount of tokens it's a rare in there. It's a snake, kinda rare, kinda close to the... Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen him. Fascinating. All the time I spent out there. But then again, I was never really in the water either, so... And I've seen the swamp monster. The little mossy dude. I've seen him plenty of times. I never saw the other one. I did not know he existed there. See, guys? You can learn something new every day. Alright, so we got... There's a couple of breaks in there, but that should be alright. Alright, let me put you in there. We need a little bit more of our white. Not a whole lot. This is probably too much. So I just want to get the snow on the back edge of this roof line. You've only seen him on a pacifist, though? Really? Isn't that the thing? Like, you always see the rares that you can't kill, or the stuff that pops up that you can't do anything about when you're on a challenger that can't touch said thing. Like last night, I swear, while I was working on my Bloodthirsty in Waking Shore, I was finding all kinds of scout expedition backpacks, whatever the hell they're called, popping up near where I was farming. I could even see one of them visually that I ran past, and I'm like, oh, I want to click it. But with my luck, it was going to count as a quest completed or some shit. So I couldn't touch it. And I'm like, damn it. Not that I could use anything in it, but just the wanting to click the thing. Look at the purple thing. I want to click the purple thing. No, no, no. You can't click the purple thing on this character. Curses. I don't know. I'm on the fence now as to whether I should make a contest character. I need to see how many people are registered. Because sometimes I'll just participate in... Yeah, I know. It's purple. I got a clicky. I got a clicky. I'm not gonna lie, on my hunter, we have 2 farming spots. The husband's been helping me farm at times. So we have a farming spot in Azure Span, and I have another farming spot I started in the plains. And I guess because the plains is where, just grabbing a different color here, where the hunt stuff starts. 7 in the competition. I might. They keep triggering the hunts like almost back to back out there. And I don't think it's really exploiting it. But if you're close to the hunt area and you're out there, apparently you can get a reward satchel without actually participating. If you're just in the area. I mean, I think you still get credit for like the quest or something, so I wouldn't advise hanging around on a character that can't quest, like Bloodthirsty. You're gonna have to leave the area. But on my non-challenger that I've been farming stuff for, last night it like went off twice, and they were flying through it so fast I didn't even have time to try to catch up to them. So I was like, all right, whatever. And I got a couple of like the basic satchels because I had already participated in the main one for the week. And the one I didn't really get anything in. And the second one, I wasn't really expecting much of anything in there, and I had a blue weapon that was actually an upgrade. I was like, oh, okay, sure. The husband had kind of participated in one when he was farming on that character, like a week or two ago, and I was digging through the bags because I was making sure that everything was vendored before I headed out, and I had repaired, and I saw this box. I'm like, what is this? And he goes, what is what? I said, there's a purple box in my bag. He's like, I don't. He goes, oh, there was a hunt going on. I guess we got a reward. I was like, huh. Okay. He goes, open it. I'm like, you think? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right. So I opened it and a whole bunch of shit like popped up on the screen. And I'm trying to read it. I was like, fuck it, I'll just open the bag. And I'm looking in the bag, and there's like a picture of a mammoth head, and I'm like, what? What the fuck is this? Is this a trinket? But it was purple, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm looking at it, and I said the name of it out loud, and Russell looked up, he goes, you got a mount that has a 3% drop rate. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't even know a mount dropped from that. And it was a mammoth, so it's huge. And so I have trouble navigating on the huge mounts because I can't see where I'm going. I'm just advancing the tutorial here. I want to see... Okay, so that section is up and down. And then that section's across. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Okay. So, we're gonna make this a little bit thinner. And we're gonna grab this guy. Now this is taupe. I was thinking about doing this in camel, but I also kind of was like, well, I mean, that might be a little too bright. I mean, traditionally I would highlight this with the camel-y color, but first hunt I ever did, I got that mount too. Yeah, I think it might have been the first one that he really participated in. I haven't actually done the hunt training quests. I have them in my log. I've been slowly meandering through questing as I've had time, depending on how much farming he's done. Like, if he did a lot of farming, then I was kind of dicking around, working on some quest stuff. I'm finally in that second zone in the plains with my quests. I might be maybe halfway through questing out there. That's a very big guess, because I'm not sure. Because I was trying to get the Tuskers opened up for reppy things since we were spending so much time farming in Azure. But then the price dropped on the one item that we were farming the most of, so then I kind of went back to the plains, and I'm trying to farm something out there that has a horrific drop rate but has a pretty good sell price on auction house. Or at least for me, it has a horrific drop rate. Hello. There you go. I lost it. I'm like, I just sat it down here. Where did it go? But, yeah, so I was kind of like dicking around, kind of hanging around on the edge. And then one of the hunts, I just started following them and was just skinning the stuff. Because I'm like, okay, if you all are just going to kill this shit, and I can't seem to get here fast enough to get a hit on anything to begin with, I'll just skin it. That's fine. You guys go. You go kill the thing. I'll just chill here, and it'll be good. It'll be good. But of course, that was on my normal, not my challengers. So, but where I seem to be killing stuff on the Bloodthirsty and Waking Shore, I've not seen any hunt activities show up, so I'm probably okay. Though, thanks to Blood Thief, we did see some hunt account-wide stuff that had to get added to the Bloodthirsty allowed list because it was account-wide. You still can't do them on your Bloodthirsty because then you'll be over the quest limity things for having actually done it, but the ghost of the credit for some of the other stuff should be on the allowed list, because when he came up on the report last week, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the flag and I'm like, too many quests. So in the middle of doing state of the challenges on the show notes, I'm like, what? Why is this too many quests? What did they do? So then I was like digging deeper and I'm like, wait, what? What level is this character? And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this character did these things that are tracing back to this zone. There's no way. This is an account-wide shenanigans. So I had to lodge a review request with Zaya. I'm like, hey, something's not right. And Zaya's like, well, I've been trying to do everything on my main to see, you know, account-wide stuff popping up because I haven't seen anything. I was like, dude, I will tell you, but there's no way. There's no way. So he did some further investigating. He goes, oh yeah. Huh. He goes, I wonder how I didn't trigger these. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's something that only triggers on an alt. I really don't know what to tell you. But there they are. As I don't know if these were world quests. I don't know if these were baseline quests. Again, I don't know, but there's no way a level 17 was able to complete a quest that had like a minimum requirement of level 58. So it's just, there's no way. You never tried a Bloodthirsty, you're not sure if you can actually do one. Yeah, not everybody can. It takes a certain amount of patience and insanity.
And mind-numbing jury. Ugh.
Yeah, husband's tried it a couple of times. And I'm like, oh, do Bloodthirsty with me? And he's like, no. We tried to do a Bloodthirsty team together when teams were operational, and he's like, oh my god. We were like 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, and he goes, how the fuck do you do this for levels on end? And I was like, what? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't like questing. Questing, I get all nervous and anxiety ridden that I'm gonna end up picking the wrong quest to do and stuff, and because I don't remember what quests are shitty and what quests are okay and stuff for irons and things, and so I like it better when I can pick a mob that's gonna work for me, and I'll just hang out there and ride that XP train until it goes away. I mean, it is sloggy. I'm not gonna lie. It is.
You see, first she goes in a circle, then she goes in another circle. After that, there's another circle. Shh, secret.
Such an ass. I can't help
You're
it.
calling me an ass, but you're not refuting my words, which kind of tells everybody what they need to know, huh?
I can't help it because then I don't lose my place. It's like that on purpose.
Are you trying to go full meditation? You cannot lose your place when it all is a circle? Oh.
I never thought about it that way. I know you're just fucking with me, but I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, don't mind me being a little pain in the ass in the background. I can't resist.
It's part of his charm. I keep telling him he needs to get his stream channel up and running. He's still toying with the idea. Yes, he's been dubbed Mr. Nisey by Taco now. So are you gonna call your channel Mr. Bright01 or are you gonna call it Mr. Nisey?
I might have trouble reacting to people calling me that regularly, so
True.
I'll just stick to my current.
True. You could do a little crab with a top hat as your icon. And a monocle. You have to have the monocle. To be all prim and proper. And fancy. With the little pinky out. So we're just putting in our weathered boards here. Or we're trying to. But, yeah, like, I usually just put something on to listen to that's, like, long-form content. So, I mean, I know a lot of people prefer, like, the 10-15 minute videos on YouTube. I really don't. I prefer stuff that's a little bit longer. Especially when I'm grinding on a challenger, so that way I don't have to stop what I'm in the middle of doing and tab out and try to find something new to listen to. So, I actually prefer the longer videos, so a lot of times I'll go back into, like, YouTube, past videos even from, like, years ago, and I'll watch, like, weather coverage, like tornado outbreak coverage or hurricane coverage or something that's, you know, at least an hour and a half long, if not longer, just so I can put it on in the background and not have to worry about constantly changing what I'm listening to or breaking my flow and then going to find something new to listen to.
So she listens to old natural disaster reports.
Yeah.
Think on that.
What?
Honey, you entertain yourself with reports about natural disasters.
I'm also learning things because they're talking about stuff. And they're talking about, you know, oh, this new radar technology is letting us see this and letting us see that, and this is why we're able to see this. So, I mean, you do learn some things. I was actually watching last night for a little bit. Yeah, I don't really have any stream series or stream services that I can watch on here. I asked him to check on one of the stream services that the family has that we kind of piggyback off of to see if Law and Order was on there. But, I don't really watch that much TV. And, so I don't really know what series are out there. Sometimes I'll put a movie on, like My Neighbor Totoro or Spirited Away or Porco Rosso, like one of those, you know, kind of deals that I've watched before, Howl's Moving Castle. But last night I was watching a video I came across that was a case study on one of the bad tornado outbreaks in Oklahoma, where they were talking about they actually think that their assumption that tornadoes start high in elevation and then come down to the ground might not be correct, because they were watching the heights of the different vortices and things going on with pressure changes and stuff with all the different mobile radars that they had from storm chasers and stuff being out there now, where they were actually starting to see the pressure drop at the ground and then work its way up. And I was like, oh, wow, that's fascinating. So it could work both ways, or it could be wrong where it actually does start at the bottom and then it fills into the top. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, wow. I said, I did not know that. So, I mean, sometimes you can learn some things. Sometimes I'll watch, like, history documentaries and stuff, too. So, for a while, I was watching Time Team on YouTube. They're doing their they've been digging in the dirt for shit. I can't say the word right now.
Archaeological?
Yeah. They've been doing those digs and stuff, so just kind of fascinating, too. And, you know, sometimes I've been watching stuff on Pompeii and, you know, those kinds of things. And I don't know, it's enough where I know I won't be fully focused on it and forget that I'm working on a challenger. So, and I really like the one weather dude in Alabama, so I like listening to him. He's cool. He tells it like it is, basically. He's funny. So when you lived in Dallas, we had tornado watches a few times, but you never saw one. You've seen a few documentaries, some storm chasers. Yeah, like I'm originally from New Jersey, and he's originally from New Hampshire. We're currently in Arkansas. So our neck of the woods, I don't know about his area, but occasionally, once in a while, and I do mean a while, we would have like a tornado watch in South Jersey. It was very rare at the time that I lived there. There's been a lot more tornado watches as time has gone on since I've moved. And they've actually had a few tornadoes go through there since I've moved. But it was pretty rare to even have a tornado watch, let alone a tornado warning in that area. But here it's like several months out of the year. It's like, oh, here we go. And it's really nerve-wracking because we don't really have a central room in this house. We don't really have a closet either, and we don't have a storm shelter. I really think that any new constructions that are built in these areas that are prone to this kind of weather really should be required to have a safe room or a tornado shelter or something. Because this is just crazy sometimes. We've had several tornado warnings here since we've lived here. Actually, during a live stream a few years ago on, I think it was a Saturday before I started doing so much for the podcast, when I wasn't able to stream on Saturday. You know, we knew that there were some thunderstorms in the area, and I was watching, you know, the weather on a second screen and trying to keep an eye on it. And all of a sudden the power went out, and I'm like, what? And there was some tornado warnings near us, but we weren't under one. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm sitting here waiting for a few minutes, and it didn't come back. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're done streaming for the day. It was hours. I think it went out at like maybe 11 in the morning or something, and it didn't come back till like 4 or 5 o'clock that night. And I'm scrolling through Facebook. We never knew what happened. I'm scrolling through Facebook. We're on a couple of the Facebook pages that some of the people that live here started, and they had posted all these pictures apparently. It seemed as though an EF0 tornado spun up out of nowhere, unexpectedly, a couple blocks down from us, and just wrecked the entire street. And all of the telephone poles, electrical poles, they were just all just snapped and toppled and laying in the road, and all of the tree branches and shit. That was the only street that had damage. It was wild. I was like, oh damn. And they never warned it. And so it just happened. It was there and done, and they never threw a warning on it. And I was like, oh shit. There was another storm where we weren't, I don't think we were under a warning yet. And somebody had a photo over the cemetery, which is a couple of blocks behind us. They had a huge ass funnel cloud going over the cemetery they had on photo. And I was one of the emergency managers for the city, I think, took the photo. And I was like, God damn. Didn't have a warning on that either. I was like, holy shit. Most of our warnings for this town come when it's dark out and you can't see shit, so you don't know if you're actually gonna get something. We are signed up for Code Red to so that if your address falls in the warning area, they're supposed to send you a phone call. The one set of storms, we never got the phone call, but we had been in the middle of changing phone providers. So when I'm like, hey, there's this warning, and he goes, yeah. So we never got the phone call. He goes, really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, maybe we're not in it. I said, we were clearly in this warning. I'm looking at the zoomed in polygon thingy. I said, we were clearly in this. After he was aware of that, he goes, yeah, let me go re-sign up for that. So we redid the sign up to ensure that we were in there, because we don't know if it just called his mom's cell phone and didn't call our house number. It was weird. But it's been pretty wild. Remember last December, we were having all kinds of tornado warnings and stuff. I'm like, why are we having tornado warnings in December? And people are like, no, it happens. That's not abnormal down here. And I'm like, really? They're like, yep. It's part of severe season part 2. So apparently from like late March, April, into the beginning half of the summer, and then like October to December, or maybe into January. It depends on things. But they're like, no, that's not unheard of. So you were just thinking about that. You wonder what you would have done actually come close. You're never shown a safe room or place to go. Yeah, so like they say to go to like the most center room in the house without windows. A lot of times that could be like a walk-in closet or something. The way this house was built, so this house was originally, or part of it was originally built like either 1921 or 1926. Like I've seen conflicting dates. And you can tell it's obviously been added onto over the years. This house has 2.5 closets, total. There's a closet in what used to be our bedroom that my parents are using now. And that sits on an outside wall. There's a half closet in the bathroom, which is a linen closet, which you couldn't get into anyway because of all the shelving. And then there's a bigger closet that you can like, it's like a double door, but it's not deep, in the mother-in-law's bedroom. But that also is half on an outside wall. And I'm like, okay, closets are out of the question. Our bathroom is on an outside wall. And in fact, the back side of the shower is on the outside wall. So I'm like, okay. So, we would have to take our chances in the bathroom and just hope that the plumbing was enough around the shower, if it came to it. Because every other room is either on an outside wall or has, like, windows in it. like, there's no center room in this house whatsoever. There might be a partial corner that we could get into that's technically not an outside L. But the other part of the room is an outside wall, so I don't know if that would be better than the bathroom or not. So, and we looked into how much a storm shelter would be at the time for 3 people, when it was just me, husband, and the mother-in-law, and that was $5,000. And that was to try to put one, like, in the carport, like, in the concrete. They would have to, like, break up the concrete and put it in and then, like, re-concrete around it and stuff. So that wouldn't even work now with my parents being here, and my dad is so not mobile, he wouldn't be able to have gotten in that one. So, it's pretty crazy. Some of the warnings we've had, they've come close. Like, we've been in it. I don't know how close a funnel was to us, because it was, you know, dark, and we're supposed to be inside and ducking for cover. But, we've been lucky to not have any specific tornado damage on this property. At least so far. I'm like trying to get these spaced out, and they keep wanting to sit on top of each other. But it's interesting now with technology being what it is. They can actually see on the radars now if it's actually on the ground with debris signatures and stuff. So it's pretty fascinating stuff. I mean, do they terrify me? Fuck yes. But, you know, sometimes they say if stuff terrifies you, you should learn more about it in the hopes that you won't be as terrified, but it hasn't really worked for me. But give me a hurricane any day. Hurricane, tropical storm, I can handle those. They're still, you know, a little nerve-wracking, but I know what to expect. And I know you can still have spin-up tornadoes from those. But, you know, you usually have a few days to prepare, and you've got your windows boarded up, or you've evacuated if you're going to be, you know, potentially in ground zero where it's coming on and stuff. So I can handle the hurricanes. I'm an East Coast girl. We're used to it. Not as used to it as Florida is, but, you know, we've had a few in New Jersey. We did have to deal with Sandy. That was a fucking nightmare. Especially since we didn't have that much damage at our house. But, fun story from Hurricane Sandy. Where our house was, it wasn't too bad. We did have some damage. Like, we had, parts of our fence blow down, and the neighbor had a big tree in their backyard near our fence, and the wind blew the tree over and took out half of our fence. That was kind of a pain in the ass, because we knew they didn't have the money, and it's like, hey, you fucked our fence. And I think we just ended up trying to patch it enough so that the dogs wouldn't get out of the yard and stuff. But the pain in the ass comes in is that our power went out. Our power was out for 3 days. And we were still trying to go to work. We couldn't cook because, you know, no electricity. If we had to cook, we had to cook outside on the grill. So we were doing a lot of takeout because even though our street didn't have power. A couple of streets in either direction did. And we're like, really? And the one restaurant we always got takeout from had power, and we're like, this is fucking ridiculous. We had called in numerous times, you know, it was like, hey, we still don't have power. We've seen your trucks in the area, and we still don't have power. What the fuck? It turned out that the reason why we didn't have power was that a switch on one of the transformers at the end of our street tripped. And all they had to do was flip the switch and we were good. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? We've been out of power for 3 days. I've had to charge all of my like my cell phone and my Kindle at work and hope that they didn't get pissed off at me. And we've been doing like fucking cold showers. Fortunately, it was still hot out. But I'm like, you're fucking kidding me? It was just a switch. It wasn't lines that had to be replaced or anything, or a full transformer that had to be replaced. They literally hit a switch on the side of the transformer. They fixed it in 5 minutes. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, why? We're like the last ones to get power back. I'm like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. I'm like, the people across the street from us had power. I'm like, I guess they were on a different transformer. I'm like, this is so stupid. So stupid. I was like, it's like, why? Oh, we were pissed. We were very pissed. I'm like I understand that they were overloaded, that there was a lot of people, but I'm like, the people across from us, directly across from us, have fucking power. Why don't we have power? And, you know, it was like 6 or 7 houses in this one section, and I guess we weren't a priority, so I'm just like, fucking kidding me? I was like, I've still had to go to work. Like, work was still open. The casino didn't want to hear it. My ass still had to be at work. Oh god, that was awful. But you know, I kind of know what to expect with the hurricanes, so it's not quite so bad. I mean, it doesn't make it any more or any less of a pain in the ass, but you know, when you know what to expect and you've had time to prepare, I mean, there's only so much we could prepare for that, but it was just frustrating that so many people around us had power and we didn't. Like, it probably would have not been as bad if the people near us didn't. But I'm like, why are they special? Why do they get power? Like, what the fuck, man? Alright, so let's start putting this in here. And I know some people had way worse damage than we did, hearing people talk in the cage that I worked in at the casino. And no, not that kind of cage. That's what they called the cashiers. I wasn't a cashier, though. The credit office was part of the main cashier bank. They called them cages because the cashiers are behind bars for their safety. And there's about 50 cameras everywhere watching your every move. So just starting to put in this side of the building. This guy worked into here. So yeah, like a lot of the supervisors and stuff for the cashiers would be back. Like our office, like we didn't really have a separate office. Our office was their work area, kind of, or their work area was in our office. It was bizarre the way it was set up in this particular casino. Because we also had to make sure that all of the credit clients' files were secure. So, because, you know, personal financial information and all that. So, just hearing them bullshit about all the damage and stuff, because some of them lived about 45 minutes to an hour away. One dude lived like up near Philadelphia, and he would drive down. I used to try to take the train, but the train was a pain in the ass. Number one, the train didn't stop near our house. Not right near. It was a production to get to the train station. It was either just to take the bus, and half the time the train was late. So, train's late due to signal problems, train's late due to this, train's late due to that. And because it was late, like, the train I would end up on would be super full, and then the train station had free shuttles that was supposed to be for the casino employees to get to work, but they didn't really police it, so if you knew about them, you could just walk up and hop on the shuttle. You didn't have to be a casino employee. So it was kind of a pain when there were casino patrons hopping on the bus and overfilling them, and then we'd have to wait for another bus.
Not gonna lie, I had no idea that was supposed to be specifically for casino workers.
Yeah, it was free shuttle, so the casino workers didn't have to pay for the paid jitneys to get down to the casinos. It was something that like New Jersey Transit and the Jitney Association had set up, but they didn't really police it, so anybody was getting on them. And if a jitney was full, they would send another one. A jitney is just a little tiny bus that could navigate the city streets, like a little shuttle bus. Think like the half-size school buses, but like more like a van type thing, kind of. But it was a pain in the ass during the summer when the train was running late, and then, you know, everybody coming down was hopping on, and I was just like, I need to get to work, I'm already fucking late. And, you know, they would have letters that they would pre-print out and put on the ticket counter for the casino employees to grab to turn into our bosses. Be like, hey, we took public transportation. Transportation was late. Don't point us. This is not our fault. So, because if you were late by a certain amount of time, you got a point that went against you, or half a point or something, depending on how late you were. It was like, because, you know, the time clock was like kind of automatic, where if you weren't punched in by a certain amount of time, it considered you late. So then you had to punch in and give this note to your supervisor, and then they would have to manually go in and fix it and put you as on time with the letter showing that this is why you were not technically on time, but you would have been. Which also slowed you down, because then you had to like run over to the counter and grab the letter while you're trying to get out to the bus to try to get on the first bus. Because sometimes it took a little bit for a second bus to show up. Some of the more, I think there was 1 or 2 casinos whose shuttle buses were always full, and they started running a second one right away with it. So they would fill the first one, and then they would start filling the second one. But they wouldn't let you on the second one until the first one was full. Kind of deal. I mean, taking the train was kind of a free-for-all, but I mean, I guess it wasn't so bad. But then I just gave up and started doing the bus, because the bus dropped off right in front of the property that I worked at. Well, like a block up, but still, I just had to like walk a block over. But still a lot closer than the train. But if your bus was running late, there was no paperwork to hand in to say, hey, this is why I'm late. So if you knew that particular bus time ran late, your ass had to either cope or leave early. which was already a pain in the ass because, you know, sometimes you had to leave a little bit early anyway, depending on the times that the buses were running. So train was a little more convenient in some respects, and a bit more of a pain in the ass in others. I mean, they both had their pros and cons. But, like, you really had to sit down and study the bus schedule, because we had 3 potential buses that we could get on. 2 would take us to the central bus station for Atlantic City. And 1 would actually drop off in front of, well, kind of in front of the property that we worked at. So depending on how late we were running or how early we were running, sometimes we would take whatever bus showed up first and just fucking cope and either get a jitney down to our property, little tram, or we would walk, depending on the weather and the time of day. Because, you know, it is Atlantic City. It's, you know, still a city. Maybe not as bad as Philly, but it's got its spots where it's like you don't want to be alone walking through there at night. So, oh, I have a story. So I don't remember if I've told this one or not. There was a time where I was taking, because I got done at 4 a.m. for a while. No, I got done at 2 a.m. No, I started 2 a.m. I got done at 4 a.m. for a while. So I would take the train home, and somebody would pick me up from the train station at that time of night, like my dad would. And because they didn't want me traveling the city on my own, and I really didn't want to travel the city on my own at 4 a.m. on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. And because I had to stand outside in the cold a lot to try to get to and from work and all that, and waiting for buses and shuttles and things, I had a long coat that went to like my ankles. So, and me being me, it had like this like fuzzy trim on the hood and like down the front, and it was all black. Well, that night was a little bit warmer, so I didn't have the hood up, and I'm standing there waiting for the shuttle to take me to the train station, hoping it shows up so I don't miss my train. So I'm like having a slight panic about that, because I'm like, I don't see the shuttle, where the fuck is the shuttle? But there's other employees there with me, so I'm like, okay. And I was debating whether or not I just wanted to pay to get down there, but then I'd have to deal with the other stops, or, you know, do I just chill? Because they had some shuttles designated specifically for the train station that would come before the train was due to leave. And I'm standing there waiting on this fucking shuttle, and this dude comes up and walks up towards me, drunk as can be. He did not speak English very well, and he's looking at me and he's like, "I kiss you?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, no, you know, kiss me. I think he thought I was a freaking prostitute. I'm like, really? I'm in my casino uniform, and I have this coat on down to my feet. Nothing of me is really exposed, and you want to fucking kiss? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, fuck no, go fuck away. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Oh my god. So then when Russell started working there, if he managed to get his break on time, sometimes he would wait with me until I managed to get the shuttle or someone picked me up directly. 'Cause that was creepy. But then he would purposely try to wait with me at times, because one of the cashiers started showing a little too much. Yeah, and I'm just like, no, you're not kissing me. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. I was like, no, go. And I'm just like, Like, what the fuck is happening? And, but Russell started to purposely wait for me when I was still taking the train home, when I was getting done at 4 a.m. Because, sorry, I've got something stuck to my face, and I can see it when I look down, and it's, like, bothering me. Like a piece of dry skin or something. It's distracting. So, he started purposely waiting with me when, one of the cashiers started to, I'm not a chatty person when I'm, like, at a job. Like, unless you work directly in my department and I have a reason to interact with you, or, you know, you've just, like, made an effort and, you know, you want to talk to me and I feel comfortable talking to you, then I'll kind of talk to you. But, I mean, the cashiers were generally busy, and there was a wall, like a half wall, that kind of separated us. So we would sit behind this wall, and they were in front of this wall. So you really couldn't see that we were back there unless you came around to the side where the credit office was. And he would cashier sometimes in this main cashier cage window area. And I really had no reason to talk to him. And I really didn't feel comfortable around him. So I'm just like, yeah, okay, just some dude working here, whatever. I'm gonna go do my work now. But I kept noticing as time was going on that he was finding ways to be in my personal space, even though he had no business being in my personal space. Like, sometimes once in a while, if whoever was being the banker for the day for the main cashier windows would be working the main bank, like getting change to the cashiers or getting deposits together and stuff. If they had a moment, sometimes they would sit down next to me just for a moment, even though they had their own chair in their own little cubicle area to bullshit. And a couple of those guys I was okay with. But this dude just gave me creepy vibes all the time, and I'm just like, why? I was like, hi. Like, he would, like, they had their, like, little window. Like, we had a little desk that would be, like, here. And, so say this tree line is our desk where we sat. And the bank window would be, like, over here. And there was, like, a little sliding glass door on this window where they would get their keys for their cashier windows and sign them in and out and stuff. He started picking up the clipboard to sign his key in and out, bringing it over to the desk, and sitting down next to me, and filling out the thing, which would have taken all of, like, 15-20 seconds if he had just stood at the window. But he was, like, making it go longer, and then he was trying to talk to me while I'm, like, either in the middle of a phone call or doing my own work or something, and I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, hi, I'm busy. Like, I'd be, like, trying to call banks or trying to do a conference call, and I'm just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, hi, yeah, okay. So, you know, and I'm trying to pay attention to what I'm doing, or I'm data entering, you know, bank reports into clients' files and the computer stuff I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. And I'm like, why are you here? And, nobody else made a point to sit down and do something that was going to take, like, 15 seconds to do. Like, you know, think of a doctor's office. You're signing your name in, the time, and you're giving them the object, or they're giving the object to you. Doesn't take that long. Okay, so I'm just so confused. I'm like, why are you here? And as time was going on, it started to get worse. And at first I thought maybe I'm just overreacting because I'm a weird person sometimes when it comes to in-person interactions. Sometimes I read things the wrong way. Sometimes, you know, I'm a nervous individual and a very anxiety-ridden individual at the best of times, and I'm just like, why? Can I help you? Why are you talking to me? And I mean, half the time I didn't even really talk to that many clerks that that were on shift with me, if there were anybody. I mean, sometimes we would talk. It would depend on what clerk it was. Some I felt more comfortable around than others, but this guy was just bizarre. And as time was going on, they put me in charge of getting department emails to see, because I didn't have that much to do at night, some nights, because they changed my schedule to where I was working like midnight to 8. So they're like, well, you've got time, it's usually quiet. We're going to have you check the department emails for subpoenas coming down from legal and see what credit files need dummy copies made of, because that's a lot of photocopying to tie up a photocopy machine back here during the day. So if you can get it done early before everybody starts coming in, you know, it'd be great. So he would leave about 4 a.m. I was glad we were not leaving at the same time anymore. And I'm sitting there. Only one of the computers in our department was hooked up to receive department emails. And so I had to go back to this computer that wasn't up at the front desk. It was at one of the other cubicles, like in the middle of the department. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to log in. And our cubicle, the desks in the like the middle of the department had clear walled cubicles separating them. So you can see through them, all right? I'd be sitting back there, staring at the computer screen, trying to pretend I'm tuning out everything, that I'm focused on what I'm doing. Because I'm watching him leave out of the corner of my eye and my peripheral. I'm watching him get like halfway down, so like here's like a hallway, and then there's a door you have to go out, and then there's another hallway, and then there's the count room, which is under security doors where you have to buzz in and out, and cameras where they have to see you, and then there's a door to get out of the main cage area that we had to be buzzed, and it was like an airlock system, so there was one door that you buzzed in and out of, and then that shut, and that had to shut and lock before that they could buzz you out of the next set of doors to actually get out. And that was anxiety inducing enough, because sometimes the back door didn't want to close, or sometimes you got trapped in both doors when the door locking didn't want to unlock. That was fun. No, it wasn't. But it was, I'm watching him go to leave. And he got about halfway down the one hallway before he left that work area. He was like about down to where our filing cabinets were. And he just would stop. I'm the only one in our department at that time of night sitting at the front cubicle that can be seen through where he's standing, and he's staring at me. And I'm like, what the fuck's he doing? And I'm like talking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck's he doing? Why isn't he leaving? And I'm like, well, he needs to leave. Why is he still staring at me? He is staring at me, right? He's like looking in my direction. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, why the fuck is he staring at me? I'm like, this is getting really weird. And I started to tell his supervisors, I'm like, yo, this is making me really uncomfortable. Dude is staring at me instead of leaving. Like, not for 30 seconds, like almost 2 minutes. And I'm like, why is he still fucking standing there? He wouldn't move and leave unless somebody noticed him standing there. Like, what are you still doing here? Go, you need to punch out. Because the time clocks were outside of the work area. They were in specific places. So he had to hurry up and get over to the time clock to punch out, to be punched out on time. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So it was getting to the point where I'd had enough. And I'm like, hey, you need to rein your boy in, because this is getting ridiculous. And I am getting really freaked out. Why is he staring at me? He has no business staring at me. He's getting his key and he's sitting down and he's signing his key out, and then he's getting up and then leaving. Why? Nobody else does this. I've been watching all of the other cashiers. He's the only one that's fucking doing this. I was like, and he's only doing it when I'm here. Because I'll be hiding in the back in our filing cabinets and I'll watch him go through the motions, and he doesn't do it. If he doesn't see me, he doesn't do it. And I'm like, stop him. I'm like, this is getting really weird and it's really getting to be too much. Please. because their supervisors were in the back where we were. Our supervisors for our department sat outside of our work area because they had to interact with the customers. So they weren't back in with us. They could come back there if they needed something, but they generally weren't back in there with us, working alongside us. They were on the other side, not locked in like we were. And I'm like, yo. And when I started saying something to the one supervisor, she started noticing it. And when she would notice him, she would start to move him along. So it got to the point where if I knew he was working and she would tell me he was working, when it was getting to be close to 4 o'clock, I would grab all of the files that had to be filed back for the night from the previous execs, because the execs changed shift at 4 a.m. So I was overlapping 2 exec shifts. I would grab all the files and I would go back to our filing cabinets because they rolled, because there was so many that were double-sided and stuff. I would go back there into the very last row and hide and pretend to be filing and find the files that needed to go in that back row and dick around back there until I saw him come in and then saw him leave. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. And things came to a head one night because I'm an anxiety-ridden muffin. Well, actually, no, it wasn't this night. There was a different night. I was sitting up in the cafeteria. We had to come in early because of the buses, and if I didn't want to take the bus by myself after midnight, then, or no, he had to be in at 10. I had to be in at midnight, or he had to be in at 11 or something. So we didn't start at the same time. So I came in with him early, and then I would just sit and chill in the cafeteria and read, or have a piece of toast or something, or eat a snack that I brought with me, and just kind of chill up there until it was time for me to punch in. And so the dealers are coming and going like every 20 minutes, half an hour, because they get their breaks in shorter intervals, and then you've got housekeeping coming and going for their breaks and stuff, and I'm sitting up there, and it's loud and noisy because they've got like 45 TVs on in different parts of the cafeteria, and I'm just kind of sitting there near the door where there's a clock where I can watch it to make sure I don't lose track of time. And I'm minding my own business, just sitting there reading. Sometimes there would be shadows passing me from, other employees rushing past, or they bent down to tie their shoe. They realized their shoe was undone, or they're checking their phone real quick, or making sure that it's back on silent, or what have you. Okay, fine, whatever. But I'm sitting there. Now, where I was sitting, there's a wall here, there's a walkway here, and they had like picnic table style seating where in some sections, the one side of the table, like the benches were up against the wall, so you kind of like booths, so like you had to slide in on one side, and you could only get out from the walkway side. So I'm sitting there, and this particular table butted up against the wall, so you couldn't get out that way. You had to go this way. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading. I'm just trying to ignore everything going on around me because, anxiety about shift starting and all that. And I have a shadow that lands on top of me. And I'm like, what? And I look up, and all of a sudden this dude is like standing there looking at me, talking to me, and then he sits down at my table with his tray of food and starts talking to me, and I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what? And I'm watching him, start to eat, and he's starting to talk to me, and I'm just really slow at processing this, and I'm like, I'm really not even paying attention to what the fuck he's saying, because at this point I'm like, why the fuck is he sitting down here? He didn't ask if he could sit down with me, he just sat down. I'm not that friendly with him. I barely know his name. What the fuck is happening? And I'm just like, what? And I was like, oh, hey. And I was like, he was saying something. I was like, oh, hey. And I looked at the clock. I was like, I gotta go. I'm gonna be late. I still had 45 minutes. I went and went wandering around at some of the gift shops trying to kill time. And just trying to wait out before I could punch in. I'm like, why is this happening? Why? And the thing the straw that broke the camel's back in this situation. And like the other, like the cage supervisors were kind of making fun of me about it. They're like, oh, there's your boyfriend. I'm like, stop it. I'm like, no, this isn't funny. I was like, you need to tell him to stop, because I don't know what his deal is. I'm married. He's married. I want nothing to do with him, even on a friendly basis. I don't want to be friends with him. I don't, just stop. Tell him to stop. This isn't funny anymore. And I was like, this is like really starting to become a problem. Well, well, they would kind of usher him along a little bit, and they were starting to notice the shit that I was seeing. And the one day I'm sitting there killing time, just advancing the tutorial, because he adds, there it is. Okay, that's what I was trying to see. I wasn't sure if the weathered wood needed to go in before that or not. Oh, hey, you're not supposed to be in there. Okay, so once again, I'm sitting in the cafeteria minding my own motherfucking business, and just trying to read. I'm just trying to wait for my shift to start. I had to come in obnoxiously early because I didn't want to travel by myself, and I'm just like, oh god, like, when is the shift gonna start? And I still had like an hour before my shift started, and I was just sitting there. I was like, oh god, I feel a shadow stop at the end of where I'm sitting, and I'm like staring at my book, and I'm like, my e-reader, and I'm like, the shadow's not moving. Why isn't the shadow moving? Why is the shadow still on me? Should I even look up? I don't want to look up. I want to keep reading my book. I'm going to keep reading my book. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Again, this was like a booth style seating where you could not get out the other way. You had to get out the one side, on each side of the table. I'm like, who the fuck just touched me? And I whipped my head up, and guess who's standing right where I need to slide out of the table, of the bench seating, with their hand on my shoulder, standing above me, looking down at me. Big smile on their face. Oh, hi, how are you? And I'm like, what? I'm like, I gotta go. And like, I almost knocked the dude over trying to get up. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I was livid. I was like, no, we're not doing touchy. No touchy. No touchy. No touchy. Why are we touching me? There was no reason to be fucking touching me. I'm not even on a first name basis with you, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I like freaked the fuck out. And I just left. I'm just like, I'm out of here. Fuck it. And I went downstairs, and I was like, I saw my supervisor sitting there, and she didn't have a customer, so I'm like, yo. I'm like, because they had known, I told them about the weird dude, the weird cashier, and I'm like, hey, guess who just fucking touched me upstairs? And they're like, what? They're like, oh. I'm like, yo. I was pissed. I still get pissed about it. And my supervisor called the cage supervisor over to the window because I hadn't punched in yet, and I was fuming. And so she comes over, she goes, what? I said, your boy touched me. She goes, what? I said, he put his hand on my shoulder and was standing at the end of my table, so I could not get up and leave without making a huge fucking scene upstairs. I'm like, we've crossed the line. This has to fucking stop now. And she's like, oh shit. So I was like, no, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. You need to tell him to fucking stop, because this is enough. And I was losing my ever-loving mind. I'm like, there's no fucking reason that he need to fucking touch me. We weren't that good of friends, and I was just like, I was losing my mind, and I'm just like, no, we're not doing this. We're not. And, so they're trying to calm me the fuck down, and I'm like, and I'm like, don't tell me to fucking calm down. And I'm just like, it's like, this is unacceptable. And, no fucking reason to touch me. And, so like, okay, well, we'll take care of it. Apparently, them pulling him in to the office for a official conference with witnesses, and also someone that spoke his primary language to doubly try to get the point across, didn't really sink in too well. And then that triggered a whole shitstorm of stuff, because a couple of days later, when I was trying to rush to leave to catch the early bus, somebody waltzed in that I didn't recognize, and they were dressed all spiffy and businessy official, and I'm like, oh fuck, really, we're gonna have a customer now, and I'm trying to get out of here early so I can catch the early bus. And they're like, oh, are you so-and-so? I'm from HR. And I'm like, oh shit. So then I'm like, great. So apparently this then triggered a need to file an official sexual harassment complaint. I'm like, I don't know if it was really sexual. The dude just touched me, and I don't want him touching me, and that's all there is to it. I don't want him fucking touching me. He had no point in touching my shoulder. He only touched my shoulder. I understand I probably, like, overreacted, but this has been going on for a while now, and it's only been steadily getting worse, and I don't know what the fuck is going on, but somebody needs to do something. So they made me fill out a fucking statement, and they're like, we'll put it in your file. It'll get locked up in the filing cabinet. Nobody will know about it. And I'm like, I don't really care who knows about it. I just don't want the dude to do this anymore. Like, dude's been being creepy for months now, almost the entire time that I've worked here. And like, Russell started shadowing me everywhere when he was not when he was on break. Like, it was really disturbing. It just felt so stalkery, and I'm just like, oh my god. I was like, I can't with this. And turns out the problem fixed itself. We don't know for sure if the dude did it on purpose and was trying to steal, or if he was being dumb and wasn't paying attention to what the fuck he was doing. But somehow he shorted his drawer when he was working in a different cashier window across the casino by $100 chip. And I think 25 might be the threshold where they start reviewing. Actually, it might be less than that, where they start reviewing tapes. Because every cashier window has cameras on it pointed down, watching everything you're doing. And they started reviewing every single transaction and stuff. And apparently they saw him on camera sit the chip next to his chip rack instead of putting it in the chip rack. And then the chip never got counted when it went into, like, at the end of the night. And it was very bizarre. And so they ended up firing him for stealing, or attempted stealing. So I'm just like, oh. Okay. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But, I wasn't there that much longer after that. We ended up moving, but the dude was just too much. I'm just like, is this me? Am I fully overreacting? Or is this, like delving into creepy stalker zone? Because I don't ever talk to this guy. It's not like, why? I'm like, if I'm comfortable around you, I would talk with you. If I have no reason to really talk with you, then I'm not gonna. I'm just not. Not at work. Not when our departments don't really intermingle. Like, a couple of the bankers for the cashiers, I would kind of talk to at times because I had to interact with them at times. Whether I was trying to get a folder back from them or they needed a signature to verify for me, for somebody trying to sign for a marker or something. And if the signature wasn't in the computer, we had to pull the file and check the hard copy and stuff. Fine, whatever. So some of them I would kind of talk to here and there, because I was used to interacting with them. But this dude, I had no reason to interact with him. No business, you know, like, you stay over there, I'll stay over here, and we'll both be happy. And I will be ecstatic because I'm doing my shit, and you need to do your shit. We'll both do our own shit, and everybody will be fine. And I'm just like, why? Why are we doing this? Why? But, it was getting to the point, this was long before pandemics or anything. This might have been over, maybe close to 12 years ago now. And it was getting to the point where at night, it was getting really slow during the week, and they're like really mind-numbingly, oh my god, I'm gonna fall asleep slow. And like, I was re-alphabetizing all of our client files because we were, if there was activity on a file within a certain amount of time, we had to update the file and keep them active. And our lists of rotating paperwork, people were suddenly not being able to find files. They're like, the file has to be here. The file is not allowed to leave back here. If the file left from back here, somebody's ass is grass. Like, super important that file never leave. So even when legal needed copies of a file to take somebody to court for not paying their credit line or something, we had to make a fake copy and make sure that we wrote like duplicate all over it, and they had to physically sign it out and bring it back. Like there was like all kinds of things. Like if the execs had files out at the desk, they weren't supposed to leave them. Because we had to pay for the reports in them, and some of those reports were like $25 a piece, if not more. So it's like, yeah, like, no, like, we have to pay for each individual credit report. Well, not me personally, but, you know, the credit department did and stuff. And you're running that many credit reports in a night. It's a little costly. So, and plus, you know, people's personal information. So, you know, but, we're like, we can't find the folders. Like, every night I was coming in, this file's missing. What do you mean it's missing? We can't find it. It's not where it's supposed to be. We've looked like 10 files forward, 10 files back. It's not there. And during the day, they were a little bit busier because they could get a hold of the banks directly and stuff. So it usually fell to either a lull during the day or me at night with nothing else to do if I didn't have a customer. Trying to find it. So it got to the point where I was just like, fuck it. So I just started ripping out every single file and just going bucket by bucket by bucket and making sure that everybody was in their correct order, which is a lot for somebody that's dyslexic. So I'm like, I flip words more than letters, but it depends on the word. Some words I do flip the letters around hardcore, but sometimes it's more like, oh, I stuck the second half of the sentence in the first half of the sentence kind of thing. But if I'm paying attention and I'm focused, right, it's not as bad, but I have to make sure that I am full attention. I know the alphabet song very well. So I'd be sitting there singing the alphabet song and I'm like, A, B, C, D, and I'm like, oh wait, you don't go here. So because, you know, we had a lot of complicated last names, foreign last names, hyphened last names, like letters that you wouldn't think would work being pronounced together. Like, it was, at least for our alphabet, it was confusing at times, so. But we also had a new employee in the credit department who said that they understood English, because you did have to understand English written and be able to speak it clearly and understand it because of what we did, because we had to contact the banks, we had to communicate with the customers, so there was a lot of verbal communication going on, so it was a requirement for the department. And new dude's like was a waiter, or said he was a waiter at a restaurant at another casino, and he was just doing this part-time to pick up some more cash. And we're like, okay, you know, the director of the department was like, okay, you know, fine, whatever. So since he said he was a waiter, our director's like, okay, well, you know, he's got to be able to understand English to some degree and write it and stuff. I spent 2 solid weeks training this gentleman. And I made an entire folder full of notes spelling everything out, you know, do this, then this, every like step-by-step procedures that he could follow if he got stuck and nobody was there. I put a lot of time and effort into training this gentleman. He lied through his teeth, or there was an extreme miscommunication as to how much English he actually understood, because it became apparent over time that when we're like, you understand? He goes, yes. He meant no. And this became extremely apparent when he would say yes, and I'm like, okay, well, now you do it. And he'd be like, I don't. And I'm like, really? Follow your notes. Follow what I showed you. We just went over this. It's okay. We'll go slow. Let's start with step 1. What does step 1 say? And he was just a blank canvas. And I was like, oh my God. What happened? Like, every time, like, I know sometimes to learn stuff, I have to do it. It can't be explained to me. Like, it can be explained to me, like, the first couple of times, and then I have to physically do it. Which is why I did the notes step by step to try to help him. And, yeah, no, that didn't work. And, I was like, hey, what does this kid do in his other job? Because, something's not right. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, he doesn't understand a freaking thing I'm saying to him. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I sat here with him. I've been the only one training him as far as I know. I explained to him what he needed to do. He said, okay. I was like, all right. We went to go do it. I had the list in front of him of the order that we were going to go in. And he just kind of had like a deer in headlights look of, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I don't understand you. And I'm just like, oh, this is a problem. Because a lot of times in that department, there's only one clerk on duty. There's not a second clerk that you can rely on to help you. And you have to be able to do it. You have to be able to communicate. You have to understand what the customers are asking when they call. You have to understand what the other casinos are asking what they call and be able to pull up the information. It was just blank. And I was just like, oh dear. And I told them that, the executives, and I'm like, hey, I think there's a problem here. I don't necessarily feel confident that he understands what we're telling him to do. He just kind of looks at me like nobody's home, and I don't understand, because I've given him all sorts of notes. He never even looks at them. I don't understand what's going on here. I was like, are you sure he was a waiter? Because he would have to be like writing stuff down and stuff. Turns out he was bussing the tables. He wasn't waiting the tables. And I was like, oh, yeah, we don't need to, like, people can show you what to do. And people can kind of tell you. So there had to be some kind of communication there maybe this was just too many layers. I don't know. But, I trained the kid for 2 weeks. Solid. Non-stop. Had a whole folder full of notes. Copious notes. Notes upon notes upon notes. Notes for the notes. And they scheduled him on a shift on his own. And I'm just like, good luck. Apparently the exec had to end up doing 95% of the work, which she wasn't supposed to be doing because of licensing reasons. And, he wasn't answering the phone even when the exec was calling back. Because when the exec calls back from the front desk to the desks in the back to ask us to get them something, a file or something, it has a different ring to it. He was just ignoring the phones entirely. He was hanging up on other casinos when he did answer the phone. He was hanging up on customers when he did answer the phone. I was just like, oh, okay, we talked about hit the hold button and then hang up. Nothing synced in, and I was just like, oh, this is a problem. I don't know if he ever started to pick it up because we ended up moving and leaving because of things and stuff, and I wanted out because it was getting so slow during the week that they were talking about staggering, or no, they were talking about trying to have a 2-hour window where there was no executive in the building. And I'm like, yo, no. That's against regulation. If table games are open, there needs to be an executive here. I can't make decisions on files. This is above my pay grade. And my licensing grade. But the director's boss, higher up, was like, well, and it was stupid because the executives were salary and I didn't know why they were doing this. I'm like, why? Whose idea is this? Why are they coming in at 6 instead of 4? I was like, you guys understand that all hell breaks loose between 4 and 6 a.m. sometimes, right? Like, I was like, what am I supposed to do if I need a decision on a credit file? We have all kinds of high rollers that just waltz in at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., drunk as shit, and want an increase on their line. And then I have to call these other casinos because you want the rundown on how much they owe on all of their other credit lines across the globe. And because their credit lines are so high, they won't talk to me, okay? They will only talk to another executive because of the credit limit being over X amount of dollars. Normally, if it's over $25,000, they won't talk to you. You need to get an executive. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, so you're gonna give me a fucking anxiety attack every night that I have somebody come in, that there's no executive here to deal with this bullshit. Because the one night at 4 a.m., we did have a high roller credit line walk in of like $6-7 million. Wanted an increase on their line. They couldn't have the increase on their line because they just had one. Then they couldn't get the temp because it hadn't been like 30 days yet. They can only have one of those every 30. And then they wanted a permanent increase. They owed money everywhere. And I'm just like, I'm not getting into a fight with this guy while he's drunk. I'm just not. And the executive that was on duty at that time got into a fight with him. He started cursing her out, and instead of just letting him go, she ended up cursing back at him and got fired. And I'm just like... And then, you know, he shouldn't have gotten... They ended up giving him a permanent line increase to try to smooth things over with him. And then he went bad. And didn't pay any of his credit lines. Which we had a feeling that was where it was going to go. But they gave it to him anyway. To kiss the high roller's ass. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not getting into these fights with people. And they're like, well, if somebody comes in and needs a decision, you'll have to call the director. Okay, the director takes sleeping pills. I wouldn't be able to wake him up at 4 a.m. I'm like, really? That's not gonna work. the one time that one of the execs overslept, I had to stall somebody. They had called. They're like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Well, no, actually, I'm trying to stall on somebody that needs something." They're like, "Okay, I'll be there as soon as I can." I'm just like, why? We're supposed to have someone in the building. It's like, I cannot make decisions on files. I don't like this. This is bad. Why are we doing this to me? Can we not? And so when they started talking about that nonsense becoming a permanent thing during the week, at least, I'm like, oh no, fuckers, I'm out. I'm not playing this game. And, you know, we had been talking about moving before then anyway, and that was less like the kind of the final straw. I'm like, yep, nope, Nene not playing that. Nope, that's not happening. So I think, did he do an actual... Okay, so there's the roof on that piece. Okay, so there was really no point in him doing those planks across the side there. Because, you know, you see like a tiny fraction of a corner of it. Alright, what time is it? Alright, so it's almost 6 o'clock, so I'm getting hungry. I think we're gonna stop here for today. I mean, we didn't get too far, but we did make some small amount of progress. So, this is actually gonna be brown filled in. Like, this support beam is here and this support's here. I understand they're a little crooked. They should be a little bit straighter, but, you know, we're gonna get what we can get. So we got the roof in. We got the building outlined, and honestly, this section's gonna end up getting covered with a tree anyway, so whatever. And we started to get our groundwork around in here. So next Sunday, when we come back into this, we will be putting in our side structures here and putting in our dark brown for this little shed area, and we'll do our brown for this side of the cabin wall, and we'll get our planks in and we'll get our windows in. Then probably next Monday, we'll work on getting our dark blue in to get the rest of this ground angle put in over here. And then we'll slowly start to work on getting in our snow over here, and get that tree in if we have time. It depends. Doing a lot of the background fill in can be a little time consuming. But, you know, we're slowly getting there. We're making some progress. Like I said, this is not a fast medium for me, and especially at the size we're doing it. Like, if you're working like 4x4 or something, it'd be a little bit smaller. But then again, this would be a real pain in the ass to do at 4x4 because you'd have to work tiny. So, you know, it is, like I said, I hate saying it, but it is what it is. We're slowly getting there. Oh, I'm like half off of the screen, so this is where we're sitting so far. It's not terrible. For one that I'm rather unsure of. We'll see what happens as we get further along, but you know, it's progress. It's something. And we still have another tree coming in over here, so that'll fill in a little bit of this blankness. It's gonna sit in front though. So, you know, we're doing okay. So that's gonna be today's story time. And the trauma tales from working at the casino. It's not glamorous, not by a long shot. So yeah, I hope everybody has a good week. Don't forget to follow all of the socially things down below. So we've got the Kofi page, we've got the Instagram, we've got the YouTube channel, which is the same name as here and is free to subscribe to, where we try to archive all of the live streams. And we have the Twitter still. We'll probably be there till the end of Twitter's implosion, if it does implode. So, and I do try to post over there when we go live. So you guys have a great night. Stream schedule, I will try to do a bonus content sometime this week with my zoo, of our duo zoo, with my half. Thursday will be Coral Island, Friday will be the Solo Planet Zoo, and then Saturday husband should be here working on his side of our duo zoo. So, until then, you guys have a great week, and I hope to see you later.